Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. As always, coming after back-to-back wins, it's my main man, right, Reggie. What's going on, Reg?
Hey, what's going on, kid, man? That sounds pretty good, man. I
Yeah,
like I like the I like the way that sounds, man. We look and sound like a real team, and a winning streak. Usually we have losing streaks, but not too much winning streaks, man.
yeah, yeah.
But I'll take it.
It's a new experience here. Let's everything was a buzz the last couple of days after the win on Monday night. Um,
How you
people kind
feeling?
of go ahead.
You still got some residue from the win, or you kind of moved on from it? How you feeling?
I'd say there's still a sprinkling, definitely. A sprinkling of happiness. It's just it's a it, it wasn't just the win because I was happy that we beat the Giants, but this was a little bit different win. Um, just the way we went about it, the fact that it was back to back weeks, the way that Jaden Daniels looked. There was a lot of positives that make me think that maybe maybe we're a little bit better than what we thought week one, right? Week one after
Right.
Tampa Bay, we're like, this might be a rough season, and they've offensively they've definitely made adjustments, and we'll see what they do on defense, and see if we make a uh, make the season interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were really concerned after the Tampa game, and of course, to your point, I mean, winning on Monday night was also something we don't do very often, which is win in
Right,
prime time, right?
right,
Um, Usually, our prime time game just confirms what people on the outside thinks and believes about our team that aren't following us closely, right? Like just off the cuff, they'll just make a comment. It's like, well, we haven't done anything to prove them wrong,
right.
but it's like it's not trially true what you just said there, sir. But I got no data to support him and tell him that he's lying because guess what? We do tend to not show up on prime time. We do tend to have a team that's not competitive, or just when you think we have a chance to win, we don't win. And and,
Right.
and when we count it out, we do win. I mean, so all those things have the narrative has always been true to some extent. Um, but this was one where we were doubted and we won and we looked good doing it.
Right.
So yeah, so the Monday night game was good, man. Myself personally, um, the buzz is kind of worn off a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, so it doesn't mean I've forgotten about Monday night and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, man, it's on to Arizona, and that's what this
Yeah,
podcast is about, folks. We're on to Arizona.
yeah. Arizona is 1-2. They lost opening week to Buffalo. Then they come back and put it on the Rams, 41-10, and then they turn around and lost to the Lions and only put up 13 points against the Lions. So they're kind of a team that's kind of had highs and lows, even from a scoring perspective. It's funny as I looked at the stats and compared them to Washington. Um, they're almost dead even on from an offensive perspective on total yards and total points. I think Washington is fourth in the NFL in points, and Arizona is fifth. Um, Flip flop it on yards. I think Arizona is fifth on yards, and Washington is sixth. So offensively, they're both moving the ball, and uh, even though we had 7 field goals, it was still 21 points. I think we can all agree that we left a little bit of points on the field there, but we're moving the ball and doing things the right way. Um, a few things on this game besides some stats. There's a lot of connections on this game. If people
Yes.
haven't realized, and you may have a couple that but I'm going to throw several here that that I thought about. This is the third time in 4 weeks that it is Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels against Heisman Trophy winner. You had Baker Mayfield, you had Burrow, and then this week you have Kyler Murray. And the former
nice nugget.
Yeah, the former head coach for the Arizona Cardinals was Cliff Kingsbury, who again is our offensive coordinator. Zach Ertz, formerly Arizona Cardinal, now he's here. And then from a Jaden Daniels connection, he played at Arizona State before he went on to LSU. Right there, he was in Tempe, which is right around the corner, 10 miles away or so from Scottsdale. So there's a lot of connections to Arizona here.
I mean, Glendale.
Pardon me?
Glendale, not Scottsdale.
Glendale is where they play. Oh yeah, I said Scottsdale. Glendale versus Tempe. Tempe and Glendale is 10 miles away. They're almost neighboring towns. So again, a lot of connections there. And we'll see how it goes. You also have on Arizona, you've got their first round draft pick, who many thought that Marvin Harrison Jr. was the most likely guaranteed star that was there. Right. You never know about quarterbacks. Occasionally there's a quarterback that comes around that people feel like is a can't miss, but Marvin Harrison Jr. was the can't miss player of the draft. I think he went fifth, either fourth or fifth.
I can't remember.
But he started off slow, week one, only having one catch, and he's picked it up. He's had 4 catches and 5 catches for 130 yards in one game and 64 in another. So he's getting in sync with Kyler. And so this is going to be an interesting game. Washington has historically had trouble with mobile running quarterbacks, and we're definitely facing one of the better ones out there with Kyler. Kyler will scramble real quick. Now, occasionally he'll go for a long one, but Kyler will pick up that first and slot and do a baseball slide real quick just to pick up that first down. So, we can get into strategy, but I can see the term that you used a lot last year about this game is the mush rush, right?
Yes.
To contain Kyler. But I'll let you go ahead with some of your thoughts.
Well, to confirm, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the 4th overall pick.
Okay.
In last year's draft. And you're right, man. He was the one guy that was supposed to be the known commodity,
right?
Coming out of college last year, the pedigree, his stats, and everything about him he was the can't miss prospect. It was just that teams at the top of the draft was needing quarterbacks and not wide receivers, which is why he lasted to the 4th pick. And if many people remember, he was so much of a can't miss / no questions about him is that he didn't even work out at the combine, didn't do anything on the pro day. It was pretty much, you guys all got the tape. I'm a top talent for a reason. No need to do all this other stuff. So he didn't run a 40. He didn't do anything other than go look at the tape. You guys already know what I'm about, right?
Yep.
He hasn't quite come out of the gate, to your point, the way Neighbors has with the Giants. But the kid is still scary good.
Yes.
And I think it's just a little bit of continuing to grow and work with Kyler Murray. I do agree with you wholeheartedly here about Kyler's ability to kill your defense. Essentially, he's a small, shorter version of Jaden Daniels at this point.
Yes.
The things that we love and like about Jaden Daniels and the issues that he present to a defense is exactly what Kyler Murray is going to present to us. And it's a little bit scary from the standpoint of, we know our defense is not playing great. And historically, our defense just doesn't do well against mobile quarterbacks. So I'm extremely concerned about facing one Kyler Murray going into this game. And as I've alluded to it a few times, maybe here on the podcast, but I certainly know that I said it to you a few times. You know, when the schedule came out and I saw Arizona, I thought, man, that should be a game. Washington should win that game. And I'm not so confident about that at this point. I know we're going to get into our confidence number later on in the segment here, but I'm not as confident about this game as I was when the schedule came out back during the off season. But the game is winnable. The game is
Yeah.
winnable.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, especially with back-to-back wins and the way we won, it took a team effort. But one of the concerning things going in this week is Austin Eckler got a concussion during the
And
game against the
laceration.
Bengals, and he's been ruled out he's already been ruled out. So it must have been a pretty bad concussion that, a lot of times it's almost week to week, right? Even though it might go 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of times it's the day before that they mention it. But they've already ruled him out. So he must be having some strong lingering problems. And I hope he has a speedy recovery, just for himself. I mean, obviously he's a good tool that Washington has been utilizing the first few games here. It'd be nice to have him against Arizona, but we will see. We will see. Everybody's going to learn the name Jeremy McNichols, right?
Yeah, but what's interesting is I remember the kickoff when he sustained his concussion. They never replayed, to my knowledge, they never replayed the play to show where he was injured. It was just they just talked about it, and the sideline reporter updated the viewers on his status. But I don't recall them showing a replay of the play. And even when it happened, I don't remember it being like, man, he got rocked or anything. So I don't even know how it happened. But it was on the kickoff, and it was a huge return that coming out of the halftime, and just pretty much set us up for a major score. And for the Bengals fans, coming out of second half, they're like, all right, we go in, we make some adjustments, we come out, and if we can hold them here on this opening drive, and Eckler just comes out, man, and just almost runs this thing back and immediately flips the field, and we're in Bengals territory. But I don't remember the play. I don't remember the play he got hurt on, man. And
right.
But to your point, concussion is a concussion, and we hope that he has a speedy recovery, because he is a major weapon for our offense. Just in the short time that he's been here, he's shown to be a major weapon. So much so that on that Monday night game, after he went out, seemed like our running game disappeared. Mm. They continued to run the ball, which was a good thing to keep the defense honest. They continued to run B-Rob and McNichols, but the running game just wasn't clicking as much as it was prior to Eckler's injury. And so that is a bit of a concern. I know everyone is excited about Brian Robinson Jr., B-Rob, and I'm one of those people, man, but I need to see the running game continue to be as successful, because even in that Giants game, the running game was effective, right? If I remember right, I mean, we had Brian Robinson had 130 yards or something, and Eckler was a factor, not only running but also catching the ball. So together, man, they are a force. But you take away the element of the game that Eckler brings, man, it could be a different offense. I mean, hell, he even scored on a swing pass and took it to the house for a touchdown, right? So it was all momentum plays that he was able to generate in the short time that he's been here, and I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, Kim, I'm a little worried, man.
Yeah, I mean, with the quarterbacks that we've had the last few years, we've continued to have a short game, right? Release to the running back or or short passes. But Eckler seemed like obviously he took the one for the touchdown, but he seemed like he was picking up more yards than we did last year and the year before with our running back out of the backfield. He had a little bit more, a little bit extra, a little bit quicker. Took the right running lanes to pick up. Instead of 3 or 5 yards, he's picking up 8 or 12 yards, and a lot of key plays. Right, a lot that was just picking up first downs.
He's doing what we had hoped Antonio Gibson would be in our offense.
Right.
Austin Eckler is performing and playing a role that we had thought and hoped that Antonio would be when paired with Brian Robinson. But he's been successful with it, man. And so missing that element of our offense against Arizona, when again ball control, ground control, keeping the other team's offense off the field, we need that. We need that, man. And I know I've said it 100 times already, but I'm a little worried about it.
Yeah, and Arizona, we talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. Kind of seems like he might be getting into a rhythm here, but they're, I guess, what you would call their number 2. It's hard to say that a rookie with 3 games is their number 1 receiver, but they got Trey McBride, who has done basically about the same. He doesn't have quite as many yards as Marvin Harrison, but he has 14 catches already for 122 yards. So it's not just stopping one person. It both of them can produce. So it'll be interesting to see how they spread the ball, how Arizona tries to spread the ball come Sunday.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say about Arizona is you look at the quality of their opponents compared to the quality of our opponents, and although the statistics wise we're very similar, I would dare say that they've had a harder schedule the first 3 weeks than we have. I mean, we had Tampa, Cincinnati, and the Giants, and they've had the Rams, Bills, and Detroit. And I think that's all 3 playoff teams, right? So, for them to be, what are they, 1-2?
1-2, yes.
I would throw that out the window, personally.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how these teams end up being. I mean, somebody could say that we beat the Bengals, an 0-3 team. Well, I don't think they're an 0-3. Quality wise, they're not an 0-3 team.
I would agree. I would agree.
And Tampa's playing some good ball. They're going to be, they're going to be in it at the end, without a doubt. The way that they're playing, even in their loss that they had. But on paper, yes, Buffalo, the Rams, and the Lions that's a tough road. But we'll see how I think Buffalo is definitely the real deal. We'll see how Buffalo and the Lions turn out.
The Rams.
I'm sorry. The Rams and the Lions, how they end up at the end of the season. They could both be in the playoffs as well. So we will see. I think Washington offensively needs to continue doing what they have done the last 2 weeks. It's, I know a lot of people were concerned about Cliff Kingsbury when he got here, that it was just going to be, just a pass crazy offense. And I mentioned it on early podcasts when we first hired him. He comes off with that impression because he has an open offense, but offensively, he ran the ball almost 50% of the time when he was in Arizona. That's about what he's doing here. And I mean, granted, he has a young quarterback, so he's early in the season. I think he's leaning on a little bit more, which I don't think any of us fans have any problem with that. We've had some moderate success. I definitely had success with the Giants game, but I'm hoping against Arizona we can have a little bit more success than we did just this past week. Hopefully, we get into a rhythm closer to what the Giants are, and we can consistently be picking up some yards and making it easy on Jaden Daniels, right? Because if they're respecting the run, they're not pinning their ears back and just coming after him. And I think that's where where there's going to be a loss of Austin Eckler. Of he could run, he could swing out of the backfield. They would have to keep an eye on him. We'll see what Jeremy McNichols does. Like I said, here's his next man up. Let's see if you can shine and make an impression. Hey, last week it was Trent Scott, right? it was, but he had a moment. He had a moment. Well, here's a moment or a game potentially for Jeremy McNichols that he can come out and go, man, now you all know my name.
Okay. Well, here's a question here. I don't know that it's been settled yet internally, but I'm going to ask you and your thoughts.
Okay.
We finally got Jaden Daniels to get his first career passing touchdown.
Yep.
And we all were wrong in who it would be. It ended up being your guy, Trent Scott, the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, who should get the ball? Jaden, because it's his first career passing touchdown in the NFL, or Trent Scott, who's offensive lineman, scoring what was his first touchdown? Who should get the ball?
Personally, Jaden Daniels is going to have a career of touchdown.
Okay.
Trent Scott, my guess is he never had one in high school, never had one in college, and has one in pros. Give the big man the ball. So
okay. I tend to lean in the camp too. I understand the significance of Jaden Daniels wanting to hold on to his first ever passing touchdown in the NFL, whether it's for his own trophy case or to give it to his mom. Trent Scott may never score another touchdown in his life.
Right.
And Jaden's going to continue to throw touchdowns, right? And at some point, that first ball maybe sit on mom's shelf, but to him, it'll mean a little bit less down the road than it will to Mr. Trent Scott. And so I would say that I hope that he gives that ball to Trent Scott and let him keep it.
Yeah, if I'm Trent Scott, I'm not only putting it in a case, I'm putting a spotlight on it. I'm going to have a film, motion picture running of my dance in the end zone. It's going to be let's be real. You're an offensive lineman. That might be his career highlight.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So let him keep it because here's the thing. One, it will probably be his one and only pass. And then second of all, if Jaden goes on to have a hell of a career, that ball is even much more special because you're the one, not only did you catch it,
right,
but it's the first passing touchdown of one Jaden Daniels. Right. So yeah, I would definitely keep it, put it in a case, protect it, and do whatever he needs to do with it. Because again, Jaden Daniels is going to throw many more passing touchdowns.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. But those are good problems to have, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. If that's what they're talking about on Tuesday when they came back in, that's a good conversation.
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting point because again, just like in baseball, same thing in football, when guys score their first, they keep those things. Those are keepsakes. Right. And so it just so happened that had it been thrown to B-Rob, Eckler, Ertz, Noah Brown, Dommy Brown, anybody else, they give the ball to Jake and say, hey, here you go, kid.
Right.
But the play just so happened to be one of those unique gadget plays where you throw it to an offensive lineman who doesn't get a lot of those opportunities as well. And so he was kind of asked about it, and it was always, we're still talking about it. And I don't know that it's ever I don't know that it's been resolved yet, and I'm sure it will be. This is not an issue. No one's going to fight over it, but I just haven't
what's
heard.
interesting is who has possession of the ball right now.
That's a good question. Seriously, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the if it's one of the trainers or somebody like that, man, that trainer's like, man, you guys just need to decide so I can hurry up and get out of this because I don't like being the one holding this. But
Yeah, because the team flew from Cincinnati and went straight to Arizona. They're actually practicing and staying at Arizona State instead of going back east and then having to fly back west to Arizona. They decided to fly from Cincinnati on Monday night and went straight to Arizona. So they are in Arizona all week leading up to the game. So the ball is there, and they're still in one of the the staff crates, if you will. With the, how they do it, they put the tape around and then mark it.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but anyway,
yeah.
Just thought I'd ask, man. I was curious what you thought about
Yeah.
it.
It. I think both of them will probably, whether Jaden gets it or whether Scott gets it. I think they'll both be reasonable about it, right? They'll both understand where the other one goes. And my guess is, while they both want it, one of them would be like, yeah, you're right, man. Go ahead and take it. Somebody's going to step up and put a little bit less value on what's just nothing more than a football.
Well, I'm pulling for Trent Scott to get it.
I am too.
I really do hope he gets it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's if you've ever played sports and you've had a one moment, I don't care if it was, Pee Wee football. If you had that one moment where you didn't do a whole lot, but you intercepted one and took it back, that one moment, even though you probably didn't walk away with a football in Pee Wee, you remember that moment. And if you had the opportunity to go back and get that football, you would want it. So,
yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I didn't mean to kind of
no.
Get off the track there.
It's a good conversation, and I'm sure some of the fans that are listening right now are having their 2 cents put in there as well. So,
all right, well, good, because we're gonna have to find out what ultimately happens.
Yeah, well, kind of cover the game. Is it that time yet, Reg?
I think it is, Ken.
You think it is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if it's that time, here we go. Oh, yeah. What's your name? What's your number? Back-to-back weeks with wins. As we already covered, we're in Arizona now. Reggie, I went first last week. I'm going to let you go. What's your name? What's your number? What's your confidence level that Washington walks away with a win in Arizona this coming Sunday?
Well, as we've been talking here, I've kind of commented a little bit about being concerned about this game. You mentioned earlier there's no Austin Eckler. Cleveland Farrell will be missing his another game. So we're missing the defense again there. We talked about it on our previous podcast that we were celebrating our victory on Monday night. I said, I made the comment of we can't sour this victory, this huge win on Monday night, by going to Arizona and then kind of laying an egg.
Right.
So the question is, who's going to show up? We've had 3 games thus far. We played Tampa. It was ugly. We played the Giants. We looked good. We moved the ball up and down the field, but we couldn't get in the end zone. And then we show up against Cincinnati on Monday night, and we look like a pro NFL team. So the question is, who shows up in week 4? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm hoping that it's the team that was in Cincinnati and they all loaded up on the plane and they went to Arizona, and it's just going to be a continuation of what we saw on Monday Night Football. But I don't know, Ken. And I'm hoping that that's who we are. I'm hoping we're less the team against Tampa and more of the team that was on Monday night and what we saw against New York. But I'm also a little jaded, right? A little jaded from the perspective of we don't always seem to have good things, man. And so until I see a trend and can see things change and continue to be changed, and that becomes the norm, I'm gonna always be a little skittish when it comes to this team, man. Um, I was gonna say that my number was gonna be a 7 because I'm being hopeful that we're gonna be more like the team we saw on Monday night. But that was if Austin Eckler was playing. Austin Eckler's not playing, and I think he's a big part of our offense. So I'm going to downgrade my number from a 7 to a 6. I think we win the game, but I'm not overly confident that we win this game. So I'm going to go with a 6 because there's no
Very
Austin
good.
Eckler. If Austin Eckler was playing, this would be a 7.
Yeah, I think as I look at the game and I look at the last couple weeks, um, as we move the ball against the Giants and against the Bengals, they weren't just. It wasn't like we were hitting home runs. Most of our scoring was by way of drives, and we faced a lot of. I mean, in those two games, we faced a lot of third downs and a handful of fourth downs, and obviously, it's all the ball's in Jaden Daniels' hand most of the time, but there's been different people that have stepped up. You know, I when I talk about good teams versus mediocre teams, the term that I always use is difference maker on the team. How many difference makers do you have? Uh, Jaden Daniels is quickly becoming a difference maker. I don't want to anoint him that yet, but in two games he has been, um, and he's connecting with different players. Right, he has connected with Eckler. Last week he was hitting Terry on some big plays. He was picking up some third and fourth downs with Ertz, and then even McCaffrey caught a nice pass last week. Um, and so the ball is getting which makes it a challenge for the defense. I think Washington's offense is going to continue to move the ball. Maybe not as well as it has the last 2 weeks because we haven't punted the ball a single time. But I think we're going to still put some points up on the board. My concern is with the defense, and I know we talk about the corners, but really it's more on the defensive line. Are they going to put some pressure on Kyler? Are they going to stop the run? Um, is our defensive line going to control the game, or are their offensive line going to control the game a little bit more? With that said, I was like you. I was probably, if you would have talked to me right at the beginning, I would have been at 7.5 of this podcast. But I've had to kind of reality sets in as you get going here. Sometimes you kind of talk yourself into a higher number, but I'm at 6.5. I'm just a notch higher than you. I almost want to say I'm still at a 7, but I'm gonna, as my main man Reggie would say, I'm a strong 6.5. So
Okay.
It's at 6.5, and the needle's leaning heavily towards 7. So
I feel that. And I didn't even mention the defense. The defense is a concern. This is not the week to try to go after sacks against a guy like Kyler Murray. We have to be able to just kind of keep him in the pocket because him getting outside, he's going to kill us. And you talk about keeping drives alive, wearing our defense and keeping our offense on the sideline. He can do that. So I think this is going to be of just containing him in the pocket, forcing him to be a pocket passer. Rush lanes being contained, not getting out of your assignment. But they have James Conner. He's a good enough runner where he can gash us. And so, yeah, even on the defensive side. So I'm not as concerned about this game, man, as prior to the season. But yeah, we have a chance, man. I've seen enough to say we have a chance.
Yeah. Again, this is another growing moment. We'll see how Washington shows up.
How we handle success, right?
Yeah, win or lose. How's the coaching staff getting the players ready? How are the players coming in? Because I think they definitely were on a high after the Monday night game. Not that they weren't happy with a last-second field goal to win the game against the Giants, but this is a different kind of win, and I think even the players recognize that. Know that you got to keep grinding. You've got to keep grinding, build on it, not sit back and go, yeah, we're that team now. Automatically, we're that team that played against the Bengals. So we'll see how everybody, how everybody laces up their shoes and puts on their helmet coming up here.
Don't let us win now. Woo. Boy, don't let us win.
There'll be a lot of talk. There'll be a lot of talk, I think, nationally.
Hey, don't let us win. Don't let
if we win. Yeah, the NFC East will be like, things might have Dallas and Philly might be looking over the shoulder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I like him.
So,
I like him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right, man. And so that's it, man. That's our preview of the Arizona game. We thank you guys for listening and tuning in. And we'll be back with a post-game review of the Cardinals game. And I guess till next time, y'all. Peace out.
Peace out, knuckleheads.